Good evening. I hope everyone had a restful weekend and a good Monday. It is day 41 of missing little Summer Wells, 5-year-old Summer Wells. Um, beautiful, beautiful little girl. And I'm starting tonight with this post made by DW, Donald Wells, that he posted recently in response to the information that came out from his stepsister and his niece. And it goes like this. Well, how did my daughter's disappearance suddenly turn to all about my stepfamily? Are they so greedy as to forget all about what this is all about? Did Trish even try to pay my dad back any of the 20,000 she borrowed? No, and never will. Did Jeannie mention to anyone about 12-year-old Ronnie when they first got together? Hell no. You all have successfully managed to ruin my name time after time. Make my dad hate me and get me barred from the family for life. You all have what's left of my dad. That's fine. You can ruin me. You can't ruin me any more than you have. I'm sure you all will keep trying, though. You can have whatever's left. You've been bilking money from my dad for years and didn't want me in the way. Well, I'll never even call my dad ever again. You can have it all, whatever's left. Interesting. So, what are my thoughts on this? Since you tuned in, I'll let you know. What I think, Don, is that your daughter's disappearance and what your stepfamily says are quite relatable. I'm not sure how being greedy or what being greedy would have anything to do with sharing how you traumatized and molested your stepsister. And Trish borrowing $20,000 has nothing to do with any of that, nor does it have to do with your daughter's disappearance. In fact, none of this post has to do with your daughter's disappearance. What it has to do with is your bruised ego. Thanks, but no thanks. So now I am going to give you a little trigger warning here because what Trish is going to be talking about is very upsetting. And if you have a history of any type of sexual trauma, then this may be triggering for you. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And I do also want to say thank you so much to Tiffany Marie for doing such a wonderful job. You all, she was so compassionate, is so compassionate. Anytime that she reports on Summer, speaks of Summer in any way, she is nothing but respectful. She keeps the focus on Summer, finding Summer. And so I just give her, a lot of props and respect for that. She is just a genuinely caring person. So I'm going to share her interview and we will talk about it. Okay. Okay, I do have it sped up to 1.25. Let me know if it's too difficult for you to follow. Here we go.
My grandpa is confused.
I'm going to let you know that the first part of it, the sound is a little bit difficult to hear, and it's not something that I can really do much about because it was on their end, but it gets fixed in a few minutes. Okay, so hang in there.
And hurt, and he said she's kicked out of the family, and he'll get over it. I know he will, but when you're first coming out as a victim, to not have the support, especially from your parent, is extremely, extremely difficult.
So your grandfather has Alzheimer's, correct?
Yes.
I can say, dealing with that and having experience also, I worked with Alzheimer's and dementia patients as well throughout the course of my career. And so my advice, well, it's already been done. If he's already gotten a phone call, I think it's very inappropriate and it speaks volumes that he would pick up the phone and call an 85-year-old man with Alzheimer's to tell him anything. You don't want to try to upset people who have dementia or Alzheimer's. That's a very dangerous thing to do. It can actually trigger a response in them that they might not come back from. Do you know what I mean? Like in their mind, but it could also, he might not even remember tomorrow. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
exactly.
if it's traumatic for him, and if it, see, I don't know anything about his medical, but
Mhm.
I will just say this first and foremost: your grandfather is a man, you're a woman, your mother is a woman, and I'm not saying that men don't understand, but you need to know, and your mom needs to know, that there is no shame in telling what happened.
Hey, can someone let me know if you can hear me as well as the video? Because I'm technically challenged and it's like, it's embarrassing. Um, but in light of what they were just talking about, okay, so Don's father, who is Trisha's grandfather, okay, whom she has a very good relationship with, well, had up until apparently recently when Don called his father to basically try to save face. I'm guessing, um, letting him know all of these allegations that Trish and her mother put out there, and as you heard at the beginning, are you there? Hello, hello. As you heard at the beginning, um, hold on, guys. Okay. As you heard at the beginning, the grandfather does have dementia, and so is dealing with Alzheimer's. And Tiffany Marie has just shared with her knowledge base in the area in the medical field that she knows that something like this, something you know, earth shattering information like this can be very detrimental to that condition. And so for Don to be so concerned over, oh, now I better call my dad and let him know that X, Y, and Z, whatever, um, is crazy to me. There's only concern about what people are thinking about him. And that is what we're seeing over and over again with Don. Frankly, and Candace. They, to me, are more concerned about how they are perceived than what has happened to Summer. And I don't understand that. It does not sit right with me. Thank you for putting that one there so that I know you all are here. Okay, let's get back to this. Please hang in there, you guys. This is such a good interview.
There is no shame in speaking out. There's absolutely no shame in what was done to your mom at all. It was not her
Mhm.
fault. And I would take that statement that you're not a part of the family with a grain of salt. I don't think that he means it.
Right.
I
I
think
don't
that
think so either. He's just upset.
yeah. So everyone's probably going to have to go through the motions and work through it. But at the end of the day, um, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks, not a family member, not a friend. It doesn't at all. And my
Yeah.
opinion is if speaking out about this type of abuse that happened in your life leads a family member to say, you are not welcome in this family anymore, that speaks very highly to the pattern and cycle of abuse. And you and your mother have broken that cycle. You spoke. She spoke and broke the cycle. And
Yeah,
I can
I
tell
agree.
from you being vocal, she did an amazing job with you.
Thank you.
I'm very sorry. I'm sure as a daughter, I don't know. I am a survivor of sexual assault, but I
Mhm.
don't have a mom who was. So I can't imagine having to support my mom through something like that. I commend you for being there for her and for being so strong, for being a voice, helping her with the situation. That's a beautiful thing. Are you and your mom must be close?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm the oldest of five. We're
Oh,
definitely very close. She's my best friend.
so I don't want to pry or ask too many questions because I don't want to be intrusive. But may
Yeah.
I ask, did your mom ever speak about this until now, or was it just now that this happened that she told people? I know they had said she had told family when it happened,
Mhm.
but was it never discussed again? And then it came to the forefront again, or
So when she was younger, she did tell. She told her mom, and my grandma believed her and talked to my grandpa. And my grandpa said something along the lines of, "What did he do? Touch your boob?" And then it was just kind of nothing was ever done after that. And then I'm not sure if she told any of her sisters because I haven't actually asked, but she did tell me. I mean, I've known for several years, probably from the time I was like 14 or 15. Um, I knew about it, and of course, like my one of my other sisters and my dad knew about it. But other than that, it was after she had told my grandparents, it was just kind of pushed under the rug. And I think, I mean, I can't speak for her obviously because I don't know 100%, but I know for me when some stuff, things happened to me when I was like 4 or 5, and I told, and the only person that believed me was my mom, and so I never told anybody anything that happened to me ever again because no one believed me and nothing was done. So what's the point? And so I would assume that that's kind of why she just held on to it. But um, that growing up and stuff, she said and I apologize for anyone listening that
don't
um,
apologize.
well, just I don't want to trigger anybody, but she had said you read in the thing where she had said that he would take her on motorcycle rides, and um, at one point she had told me that he tried to take some of her younger cousins and she would always say no and wouldn't let them go, and she would go in their place because she knew what was going to happen. And so even at 5, 6, 7 years old, she obviously knew. I mean, we all know when it's happening that it's wrong. That whatever's happening isn't right. But even then, she was protecting. Um,
She was protecting the younger cousins, and she was
other
going
family members. Yeah, other family members.
so
And
she would go in place of them to take the
mhm,
abuse so they didn't.
yeah.
How old were these younger cousins, did she say?
Um, I'm not entirely sure. I know some of the cousins. They weren't much younger than her. I don't think probably.
How old was she? Do you know?
So for her, the abuse started when she was 4
Oh my
and
God.
went on until she was 10. And it only stopped then because he went to prison the first time. But she's the youngest of all 9 siblings. So all of her sisters had kids, and she would babysit them and stuff. But she, I don't know, the cousins are, in between, just a few years younger than her. And I'm not entirely sure how young they are, but I believe they're just a few years younger than her. But when that would happen, she was probably around 7 or 8. Um, and when he would always try to get them to go on motorcycle rides, and she would always stand up and say, no, I'm going. And they would always be upset with her, but they didn't understand that she was trying to protect them and shield them from the abuse.
Do you know how old he was at the time?
I don't. I think he's 53 now, and she's, or no, is he 63? I'm not sure. He's one of the oldest of the siblings. I think there's like a 10-year difference.
So a 10-year difference around.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how old he is.
Okay. I believe that he is. Does anybody know Don's exact age?
There might be there might be like a 15-year difference actually. I think he's in his 60s, but I'm not 100% sure.
I believe he's 62 or 6. I'm gonna check right now so I know.
Okay.
But okay, so when you heard about, so have you ever met the Wells family? Have you ever met Summer or the boys, or have you guys ever come in contact with them? Ever been to a family event or dinner, anything, family reunion, or anything like that? Or has your mom stayed away completely?
So the majority of my family lives in Utah. He moved back to Tennessee when his biological mom passed. He moved back. I think it's been about 13 years, I want to say. He moved back and met Candace. None of us have met Candace. And in March, he came down to Utah, and he brought, I think it's his oldest boy, Josie. He brought him with him, and we got to meet him, but we haven't met any of the other kids. And we knew that him and Candace had 5 children, but we didn't know that he even had a daughter.
They have 5?
Yeah, it's my understanding that, and I'm not 100% sure, but it's my understanding that they had one after Summer and gave her up for adoption. That's what I've been told by my grandma.
Okay, that's the first I've heard of this. Okay.
And I don't know if that child was a boy or girl, but I thought he had all boys. I didn't even know.
Okay, so I'm going to rewind that just a little bit because I was not paying attention and my dogs are going in and out of the room and my husband's in here and it's just crazy. Okay, hold on. So listen carefully, and I swear the sound is going to get better shortly, but this is where she talks about Summer having a younger sibling.
To meet him, but we haven't met any of the other kids, and we knew that him and Candace had 5 children, but we didn't know that he even had a daughter.
They have 5?
Yeah, it's my understanding that, and I'm not 100% sure, but it's my understanding that they had one after Summer and gave her up for adoption. That's what I've been told by my grandma.
Okay, that's the first I've heard of this. Okay.
And I don't know if that child was a boy or girl, but I thought he had all boys. I didn't even know about Summer, and in fact, I only found out because my cousins had posted that she was missing, and I messaged her and asked whose child it was, and she told me, and that's the only way we found out. And I joined that group, which was the I think it's like Prayers for Summer or something.
Okay, I do want to give a little disclaimer here, just stating that I was not able to verify what Trish Nelson has said here about the youngest sibling being adopted out, or even the youngest sibling existing. But this is Trish Nelson. She is the step niece. So she's Don's stepsister's daughter. She actually spent a lot of time with Donnie Jr. when they were kids. They're around the same age, she says. She'll talk about that in a few minutes, which is the part that really messed me up. But yeah, I just wanted to say that I don't know whether or not this is verified, but this is what Trish is stating, and she is who she says she is. So,
The one that the true crime sisters do. And I joined that group, and people were saying that my grandfather was a sexual predator, and they were saying all of this is really awful things about my grandpa. And I actually originally only commented because I wanted to clear the air. I don't want his name getting run through the mud because my grandpa didn't do anything. He was a wonderful man. He's been in the military. He does not have a criminal history at all whatsoever. He would never hurt a child, especially sexually assault one. Um, he's grouchy and he's old, but he's not in any way abusive as far as, like sexually abusive or anything like that. And so to read these comments all these people were saying was just killing me because I love my grandpa. I mean, I was at their house all of the time growing up. Like 80% of my time was spent at their house. And I grew up with Donnie's son, who is my age. He is on the sex offender registry. And I grew up with him. We were best friends growing up, and I watched him go through so much trauma and so much stuff in his life, and his sister too. Um, she's just a couple of years younger than us, and the things that I witnessed them go through is completely unforgivable. And every time, honestly, I mean, every single time I watch an interview with Don or anything, it just like my stomach hurts. Yeah. Because every single time I see him or hear his voice, it just brings back all of those memories and the things that his poor kids went through. I don't know how they even stay in contact with him because if it were me, I wouldn't. But we all deal with our traumas in our own ways. So.
Right. And you said your mom's having a really difficult time right now.
She is, yeah.
Yeah. Does she have support outside of you? Has she gotten in touch with anybody like a therapist or a counselor? I know that it's very difficult for women who have suppressed all of this throughout the years. Wondering if she's ever had any kind, and it's not my business. You don't have to answer any of my questions. And if I cross the line for me, I don't want to cry. I really don't.
You're fine.
Is she going to get in touch with someone to have kind of emotional support, because this is a really traumatic thing, and I'm sure it's going to, she's probably going to relive a lot of this, and I just want to make sure that she's taking care of her heart and she's protecting her energy and just her physical being. This can be extremely even dangerous at times for women who come out and break a silence, and then they are
okay. So, Louise Parsons, thanks for visiting, but you knew what this video was going to be about. So I suggest you make your exit. This is not about anybody's 15 minutes of fame. This is about finding Summer, and it's about exposing a predator.
broken down by other people. There's a lot of support and love here for her in the chat and for you. People are proud of you. They're all saying beautiful things. And I appreciate you coming up here to speak about this. I hope you know how important it is for Summer, because we don't know what happened to her. We don't know what happened leading up to her disappearance. We don't know anything except for what we've seen. And there are some pictures, actually quite a few pictures, where it looks like she's standing in a very self-protective way. And I have always wondered, is something, has something gone on? And that's just me as a survivor myself, looking at these pictures took my breath away. There was one in particular that really, really upset me. Nobody has been sharing that photo, thankfully. I talked about this last night. I haven't seen it posted anywhere, and I hope nobody will. It's just heartbreaking to see these photos of Summer. Some of them tell a story. Her eyes are very sad. The look on her face. I just so knowing that now, let me be clear, and this is no offense to you, and I just have to say it for the sake of being responsible as a creator. She's up here speaking on behalf of her mom. Her mom has come out, if you're just getting caught up, her mom has come out and spoke about previous in her childhood from her brother, who is DW. We'll refer to him as DW. And this is just recent, right? About several days ago, she spoke about this. And
That was yesterday.
yesterday, so yesterday morning, correct?
I'm pretty sure yesterday.
Yeah, it was early. So you're welcome, you guys. Everybody throw up some prayer hands and some love for Trish and her mom. This is really important and heavy stuff. It's very heartbreaking. And yes, killer crimes. Thank you. Can we put some hearts in the chat for this amazing lady? So, do you know if your mom had any concerns about this being a possibility with Summer? Has she spoken about that with you? Anything that she would be okay with you saying? I don't want you to say anything she wouldn't be okay with you saying.
No, you're totally fine. So like I said, she didn't even know about Summer either until she went missing. And like I said, we knew that he had children, but we thought that they were all boys. And um, he keeps in contact with my grandpa, which is his biological father, but my grandma is his stepmom, and so um, he doesn't. I don't know. We don't really discuss him or talk about him or things like that. My grandparents will say, "Oh yeah, Donnie had a kid" or whatever, but it's not like a general topic of discussion. Me personally and my mom don't talk about him or bring him up because of the past. But so we didn't know that he even had a daughter. But after we found out that he had a daughter and that she was missing and all of that, we discussed it and stuff. And I mean, I personally, neither of us really know. I mean, I personally feel that once you do something like that to a child, you never stop. But I can't say 100% for certain that I think he did or didn't do anything to her. It definitely isn't a doubt in my mind that he did, but like I said, I can't 100% speak for whether he did or didn't because I haven't met her. I wasn't there. The pictures, some of the pictures, like you said, do show quite a bit of body language, that I'm familiar with, and probably other victims or survivors are familiar with as well. You know, we've all probably have a few pictures, that are in similar stances or different things, but yeah, neither me and my mom try to remain unbiased because we don't know what happened, and both of us are very much like people can be rehabilitated. It's 100%. It can be. Some people can be rehabilitated. People get off drugs all the time. People, do stuff all the time. But from what I've seen, and he was here in March, and
Okay, so I don't mean to interrupt her, but yet I just did. The reason I did is because she said that people can be rehabilitated. Yes, absolutely. So the thing is though, with SA, um, Don hasn't had treatment that I am aware of for SA. Don has not acknowledged, Don has not admitted that he committed this. He hasn't done any time for this. So I'm just saying that to me, it's extremely unlikely that he is reformed or rehabilitated from being an offender because he has not received any treatment as an offender or even admitted to it. He very well may have kicked the drug habit. I have no idea, but yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't know what the man does in his everyday, but I believe what this woman is saying about the past, and I know that you first of all, people who commit SA in general, child molesters, okay, um, honestly, are rarely rehabilitated. Look up the statistics because they're there. And so for him to be rehabilitated without any treatment, doubt it. I just really, really doubt it.
and things like that. And from what I've seen, just through interviews and things like that, he hasn't changed at all. He's the same person that I grew up knowing, and so for that, he hasn't in my opinion, my mom's, I mean, from what we've talked, he hasn't changed. I can't say, you know, obviously 100% for her because,
Right.
you know, it's just what we've talked about. But
So all right, you saw him in March. Can you explain, and if you don't want to answer, like I said, any of the questions I ask, if you're not comfortable, you can just say so and I'll move on. When you're watching on TV and when he's speaking and when you're listening to the interviews, what goes through your mind? What is your impression? What do you see in these interviews that you don't see in a real life situation or vice versa? So is he acting like the Don you know? Is he acting different? Maybe some insight on what do you know of him and what is he maybe displaying and showing that you've never seen before, etc.
so he acts pretty much the same when
Okay.
he's doing an interview. I don't know if you saw they did some with four panelists and they went over like his and his wife's body
Can you say
language
that one
and
more time, hon? I think you're
sorry.
are you on earbuds?
I am. Are they not working very good?
That's much better. Yeah, no, when you move
Okay.
around naturally, it picks up like the pressing against your shirt and stuff like that. But it's fine.
Oh,
I just
okay.
wanted to make sure you had it.
No,
Okay,
you're
there you go.
fine. I am on earbuds. I apologize.
That's perfect.
Um, okay. So from the interviews and stuff, he seems like the same person to me. I mean, um, like I don't know, every time he would get out of prison, because he was in and out of prison my entire life. But he would always get out of prison and he would always say, "Oh, I found God," and you know, he would always kind of use that as a shield. I feel like, um, and like I said, I don't know. He could be reformed. I don't know. I can't speak on that, you know, whether he is or isn't. But from my experience, he's the same person that he always was, and he acts pretty much the same in an interview that he does around people. He he often is kind of uncomfortable around people in general. I don't know if it's just because of how much of his life he spent in prison and on drugs and things like that. But he's always kind of been he's always like kind of used religion as a crutch and things like that. I do feel like a lot of things are kind of odd in the interviews when they ask questions and he responds with weird things like that he believes in the resurrection or different things like that. I think that those are kind of odd, but I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say that that's different from his normal behavior. I feel like maybe he just doesn't know what to say, and so he kind of uses that as like a bridge between I'm not really sure, but he acts basically the same in the interviews as he does in real life. I do know in a few of the interviews that me and my family had seen, we had discussed thinking that maybe he was um, under the influence of, I'm not sure, alcohol or something, or possibly drugs. And then in some of the other ones, he seems a little bit more clear-headed. And um, I think that in the interviews, he is a lot more calm than he normally is um, in real life because
He's
I
toned
mean, he
down.
used to have a temper.
Like in interviews, he's calmer. So that's something you notice.
Mhm.
That he's much more calm than he is in real life. Can you
Yeah,
explain by that?
well, just in real life, like in real life, he was always like a little bit more, like kind of, he can get kind of passionate, I guess is what you'd call it, in his words and things like that. He's very much like, oh, this is how things should be done, and I know how to do it, and I'll get it done, um, and it needs to go this way. And like for instance, he was refinishing my grandparents' living room when I was younger. I was like, I don't know, probably 15 or something at the time. It's been a while, but he was refinishing the living room, and he wouldn't take anyone's advice or input on how it should be. And he got halfway done with it, and then he went on a binge and ended up back in jail. But he was very insistent on how it should look and how it should be, and he's very kind of like my way or the highway type of thing.
So she didn't use this word, but what I thought of immediately when she started describing him, and it's also based on what Rose Meyer has said about Don, he's extremely controlling. Okay, Don must control what's going on around him, the people and the situation.
Okay.
And I feel like in the interviews, he's um, you know, like pretty level-headed and calm. There is one interview, I think it was just a few days out past Summer's disappearance, and he is a little bit more agitated than he was in previous interviews. And
You mean
I
the
think
last
that,
edit with Candace?
no, it wasn't that one. It's just him, and he was talking about, I don't remember the entire video, but at one point he had said that the police were all over and people were searching, and the boys had been arguing and things were getting kind of heated at home. And I could just see that he was getting agitated pretty quickly. And I mean, honestly, I can't say that I wouldn't be the same, because your daughter's missing, and you know, you're in a house with all your kids and everybody's wondering or where she's at, or maybe they know, I don't know. But he was definitely more agitated in that video, and that was a little bit more of his personality coming out than in the other ones. I feel like in a lot of the other ones, he's just really more reserved and calm than he is in normal life.
So what kind of message does that signal to you when you're watching the calmness? Do you find it to be a little bit off-putting? Do you find it to be out of the ordinary? Like, does it give you a certain feeling? How do you feel about it?
I wouldn't really say that it's off-putting. I think that it's just kind of his way of dealing with public in general.
Okay.
Just because, like I said, I think that just because of, you know, his past and things like that, I think he just kind of prepped himself for them, which is fine. I mean, I don't necessarily think that it's like a red flag, but I don't know, because I'm not, you know, I'm not like a
Right.
perfect reader or anything, but I don't feel like it's like a super red flag. I feel like he just maybe prepped himself a little bit, or just tries to remain calm because of the situation. I mean, you don't want to, obviously, whether he did or didn't have anything to do with it, you wouldn't want to bring alarm to yourself. I think he knows that. So I think he just keeps a calm demeanor, you know, as much as he can. Hmm.
Okay, so I respect her opinion completely, and she knows Don, pretty well, it sounds like. So I think, she's speaking to her knowledge of him when she says that he prepped himself for dealing with the public. And because I'm sure, it's a little nerve-wracking to be like going on the news when you're in this situation. Um, but I just wonder, and let me know in the chat how you feel, or the comments below on the replay. If you were in this situation and your child has gone missing, God forbid your 5-year-old daughter is missing, right? And you're going on the news. I don't, and everybody's different, but I'm just thinking about myself. I don't give two F's about how I appear. You're going to see, first of all, I'm probably going to be in my pajamas. I mean, that's just me. Like, I would fall apart. Um, and then there just wouldn't be any concern over the things that this dude is concerned about. It just baffles me. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And with Candace too, I don't understand her response. I cannot relate.
I think that if they did a random interview in the middle of the day when all the kids are crazy and stuff, it would be more of his normal personality. But
Well, you know what? Naturally, if I was going to go in front of camera in front of the whole world, and my child was missing, God forbid, I don't know how I would keep so calm. I don't know how I would be so mm, emotionless. It's
mhm.
very strange. Have you ever seen him get emotional about anything, or has your mom ever talked about him getting maybe having a temper or um,
I've I the only really emotion that I've ever witnessed from him is angry.
angry?
Yeah, I haven't. I mean, he's either my entire life he was either on drugs and sitting on the couch calm, or angry. I don't ever remember, you know, a time when he was just normal, like a normal dad should be or a normal uncle should be. He was just always, I don't, sorry, I'm sorry. It's just when I think about it, and every time he would get out of jail and he'd get on drugs, and he just, the look on his face was so awful. I hated it. And um, like I said, I mean, his two older kids were always dirty, and they always had lice, and um, they always,
Did have
they
a
would come,
one.
sorry, go ahead.
They did have a lice problem.
Oh yeah, always. Like we actually, me and my sisters actually got lice from this several times because they would come back to Utah. They moved all the time, but they would come back to Utah, and he was my cousin was my best friend. So we were constantly, as soon as they would be back, we were at the hip the entire time. And so we actually got lice from them before as well. And they did shave their heads to prevent lice and stuff like that as well. And I think that's why, I don't know, I know that they said otherwise, but I think that's why they shaved Summer's head. But like I said, I'm not sure.
Talk about that. So do you think that the shaving was due to lice, or do you think it was what Candace said, that she wanted to look like her and the boys, or do you think that it was because of what Don said? So there was 3 different stories about, and the lice never came from Candace and Don. The lice story came from people in groups and speculation and such. But I remember Candace had said in her interview that Summer wanted to look like mom and the boys, but Don said that Summer had done it first, and that mom shaved her head to make her feel better.
Right. I did see that. Yeah. I personally don't know 100%, but they did, with the older kids, they did shave their heads to prevent lice. There was a video, a picture, and Summer's head was like half shaved. It kind of looked like, I don't know, it's the style now, but it's just like where it kind of looked almost like a mohawk style. So it's definitely possible that that she wanted it shaved, but in my experience, it was, I speculated that it was because they had gotten lice. Because that's how they kind of dealt with it back when we were younger. But one particular, and this has nothing to do with the lice, but one particular memory that has always stuck with me and always will is from me and my cousin. I want to say we were probably like 8-ish, and we went to work with my grandpa. My grandpa drove truck, and we went to work with him. And he would drive like to California and stuff. It was several hours. And we were with him anyways, and I started getting hungry. And so I said to my grandpa, can we stop somewhere and get some food because I'm hungry? And my cousin turned to me and said, and I will never ever forget this, but he turned to me and said, you don't know what hungry is. I've gone 3 days without food before. We were like 8. And I remember like holding it together and trying not to just break down right there because, well, obviously that's like a difficult thing, but there were so many things that went on in their childhood, like I said, and I don't even know how. I would never talk to my parents again if I went through that. And there is, I had stated on there too about when he tried to sell his children. And that did happen. It was 100% it happened. I was at my grandparents' after it happened. And
okay, so listen, this is important. I know that people have heard this. It's been flying around the internet, and here's why. Because this is a firsthand account. Trish was there to hear them tell about this story. So listen very carefully.
So his wife and the 2 kids and him came to my grandparents' house, and he said his wife was telling my grandma that he was on something, that Don was on something, and he gave the 2 kids to his drug dealer or someone. And she said, luckily she stepped in and grabbed them and brought them home. And the worst part about it, I feel like, is the fact that both of the kids they just acted like it was normal. Like, oh yeah, that happened. So what? No big deal. I mean, we were young, but if my parents did that to me, things that went on in their childhood, like I said, and I don't even know how.
I'm playing
I
it
would
again.
never talk to my parents again if I went through that. And there is, I had stated on there too about when he tried to sell his children. And that did happen. It was 100% it happened. I was at my grandparents' after it happened. And so his wife and the 2 kids and him came to my grandparents' house, and he said his wife was telling my grandma that he was on something, that Don was on something, and he gave the 2 kids to his drug dealer or someone. And she said, luckily, she stepped in and grabbed them and brought them home. And the worst part about it, I feel like, is the fact that both of the kids they just acted like it was normal. Like, oh yeah, that happened. So what? No big deal. I mean, we were young, but if my parents did that to me, I would have been hysterical, and they weren't. They were just, it was almost like it was normal everyday life for them. And I remember Dawn laughing about it. Yeah, haha, trying to kind of laugh it off. But it wasn't a serious thing. But if their mom would have been there, they would be who knows where.
You are like, you're an amazing speaker, Hun, for coming up here. A lot of people, I don't know if you can see the chat. Karen Byrne says people don't understand what's going on. She is so brave for telling us. You are brave for telling us, and
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you. And I know that it takes a lot for you to get up here and discuss this on behalf of your mom. Bless your heart, seriously, because she's very lucky to have you for a daughter, number one. And I appreciate you being so open with us. This is a great group of people. We really care about Summer. We care about what happened to your mom or any other woman who has been victimized or violated, allegedly, by this man. I think that it's absolutely relevant in this scenario, and it needs to be noted. So, if only here, you said your mom called the TBI, right?
She did, yeah, she did. She did tell them her story, and I know one of the other victims had come forward and told her story as well.
God, so two people have reached out to them.
There's the one I know she never will. But the other one we don't keep in contact with. She was one of my mom's friends, and they're not in contact any longer. So I'm not sure about that, but
there's a third person who will never speak out.
She definitely will never. I don't think she'll ever speak out ever.
Okay, I understand.
I did see in the chat somewhere that someone said that if you shave their head, it doesn't get rid of the lice. And you're right, they do still lay bugs and lay eggs, but it's a lot easier to sweep lice out of shaved hair than it is a thick, full lock.
Yeah. I've never experienced lice for some reason. Thank God they don't like me, apparently, because I never got them in school, and I never had any problems with my child or anything like that. Of course, he's pretty grown now, but never had to deal with lice. And the only time I ever dealt with lice was when I was working in a hospital. So, and I didn't catch them, thankfully. But so
that's amazing.
yeah, thank God. I would probably really lose it if I got them. But has your mom ever met Summer?
No, the only one of his younger children that she's met is Josie, which is, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's the oldest boy.
The oldest. So
and we just met him briefly.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we just met him briefly when he came down in March, and he was here for I don't remember the exact amount of time he was here, but he wasn't here very long, and it was just him and Josie. And he said that they were gonna try to move back, but I don't know. The whole thing was just weird, I feel like, when he came down. But yeah, I met Josie briefly, and then my mom had went over there and she met him briefly as well. But we haven't met any of the other children or his wife Candace either.
So he's never brought Candace or the other two sons or Summer around, just Jet. Okay.
Correct.
So can I ask you what your impression was when you saw him standing with his son on news, or what your mom thought about? Or
I haven't actually really talked to my mom about that particular thing. We mostly talk about the interview in general, but personally, I feel like he kind of is just using him as a I don't know if support is the right word, but just because, like I said, I think that he just gets nervous probably talking in front of people. And so I think he's kind of just using his son as like a crutch, like, oh, I have my son here. And so it probably just helped to make him feel a little bit more comfortable. I'm not really sure. I did notice in a couple of the things he was like squeezing his arm, but you can't really tell from the video, so I'm not sure whether he was doing it because he was trying to comfort him or if he was trying to prevent him from talking. I honestly am not sure.
Yeah, so you guys understand that she doesn't live close. You guys don't live close at all, right? You live in well, don't say where you live because you don't want to, put your business out there, but you're in a different state entirely. And
Yeah, we're 36 hours away.
okay, so this is a very long distance family. But your mom grew up with him and has alleged that he's done, these things to her
Correct.
and other children that he had tried to. She shielded them and protected them from what Trish has said, and she would go in the place of the other children and the other cousins.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine. I really cannot imagine. But like I said, my heart goes out to you, your mom, anyone who has been violated or victimized. I try to be careful with my words, but I am very concerned that Summer may have possibly been abused in that way. And this your mom coming forward and you coming forward on behalf of to speak for her has really opened a lot of people's eyes. And I think that this is very credible. I would not even allow her to be up here if I did not believe in this credibility factor here. I know that she's matching up exactly with her, she is who she says she is. So now, with that being said, this is a family who's got issues that have gone on.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that about you because you have an entirely different immediate family. So you're not, she's not living over there in that house. They're not going to Sunday dinner together, but they have had contacts in the past and through family matters and such. But can I ask you what your gut feeling is? Do you have any kind of intuition about this? Do you have any kind of thoughts about what's going on? What is your gut telling you? And maybe even what your mom might be feeling?
Honestly, I personally think that I don't know whether the parents had anything to do with it.
Right.
If they did, I obviously wouldn't be surprised, but I personally don't think that she's alive. And it breaks my heart to say that. We pray, me and my family, my aunts, my cousins, we all pray every single day. And we hope that she has a safe return, but in my opinion, I don't think that she will. I don't think that I just personally don't think that she's alive, or I don't know that she's been super close. I have a feeling that she's probably within a certain radius, not too far off from her home, but I don't think that she will make it back alive, to be honest.
I think a lot of people have that same feeling and share that with you. I think that at this point, the likelihood, okay, so if she was abducted by a stranger, I do believe there is hope that she could still be alive. But if this was foul play at the hands of the people that were supposed to protect her, I do not believe that she is alive. So I have to take all of that into account, right? We all do. Could this possibly have been an abduction? Could it have been, excuse me, someone from the church? Could it have been a neighbor, someone passing through, etc.? Or could something else have happened in the family? And it seems go ahead.
Sorry, it's my understanding that their driveway is very long. I've never been there, so I don't know, but I have seen pictures and stuff. It's my understanding that their driveway is very long. They also have several dogs.
Right.
I have a dog, and if anyone even pulls in the driveway, he freaks out. So I think that it's kind of odd that they say someone ran up and grabbed her, because my dog would freak. I mean, he doesn't, and any dogs that I know, aren't just going to let a stranger come up and snatch someone, especially, one of their kids. I mean, personally, that's just how I feel.
The likelihood is very slim.
Right, and not saying that the parents had anything to do with it, but someone that she knows or that those dogs know very well. If she did get kidnapped and that was the case, I feel like that's the only way that that's even possible, is that.
So on another note, that driveway that she was talking about, the very long driveway. So I don't know if you all watched the video tonight of the first interview that Chris McDonough did from the interview room with Candace, and he actually went out to the home and he said that a vehicle without, I think he said without four-wheel drive is not even going to make it up that driveway. So just think about that. And then there were like a gazillion dogs. I don't think he, excuse me, he didn't say how many there were, but I think we're going to hear more about that tomorrow. I wish he would have played the whole thing tonight. I was like, oh my goodness. But we are going to talk about the first part and the second part tomorrow he after he posts that. So no, what is it? He barely made it. Yeah, right. So that's just craziness. And I will say this, like let's hypothetically say, okay, that the parents, Don and Candace, truly don't know what happened, okay? As they allege. They now I'm trying to put myself in their position. If I truly believed, if I knew that I didn't have anything to do with my daughter being gone, okay, and I lived where they lived, I suppose after all of the searching, my only conclusion would have been, well, someone had to have taken her. But the strange thing is that they went to that immediately. That was the first thought, especially from Don. And I don't really understand that. And I don't understand his references to Mexico. I don't know if he's got that Jose character on his brain or where that is coming from. But, and I know that, questionable behavior and reactions don't determine guilt or innocence. I'm not suggesting that they do in any way, but in light of what we know about the allegations against Don made by two victims, and yeah, they're allegations, but I believe them. I believe any woman who or man who states that they were abused as a child. There's just no reason to lie about that. Um, for the people who are saying something about 15 minutes of fame, that's preposterous. If people want fame, don't you think they would think of something else to say? Do you know how hard it is to talk about something like that? I mean, you can hear it in this young lady's voice, how broken she is about what's happened to her mom. So, anyway, that just ticks me off that people think that anyone would make up a story like that in this situation. I don't get that vibe at all whatsoever. And his response to it is just infuriating because he's infuriated. He he is upset. You know what kind of a person gets upset when they are called out on their behavior? A narcissist.
But she knew the person and she went with them willingly, and
I
or the
have a
dogs
very
knew the
strong
person or
feeling
whatever.
also that it was someone she knew and trusted.
Mm-hmm.
I sense that a lot. Um, so I'm going to bring up, actually, if you don't mind, I like to bring up a picture of the house really quick because
Okay.
I want to point something out, and I don't think it's been mentioned, but I think it's important to note. Let me see if I can find. Okay, so let me pull this up. So let's look at this picture really quickly of the house from an aerial view. We have, alrighty, I'm gonna bring this up. Let me unpin my camera here. Do you have a few minutes to stay, hon?
Yeah, you're totally fine.
Okay. Okay, so this is the property, and as you can see, there's a driveway that comes up through here and around here. So, Summer, if I'm correct, her swing would have been right about here, because when the parents were sitting here, they took a picture. Actually, let me see if I can send it. I want to show you guys. Candace had mentioned the swing. I thought that was interesting. And the swing was sitting, where's my phone? All right, first let's say this, okay? So let's say someone was around the area and walked up this driveway or drove up this driveway and walked into the door over here. So the basement door is on the right hand side of the house or on the back. So you come around this circle and the back door is over here, right over here. See the circle here? The camper's over here. The back door is along the back of the house. And where John and Candace were sitting in their interview is right here on this side of the house. And right over here on the side of the camper, the trailer, is where Summer was dancing in the rain. Now, John parks his truck over here behind that tree. If you got my screen, I hope. Okay. Now let's think about this logically. If someone was to drive up driveway and snatch her, how are they getting out? Are they backing all the way down the driveway, or do they have to circle all the way around? Because to me, it looks like, and from what I've seen, there was a woman that had gone there and taken pictures. Amy was talking about her earlier, the GoFundMe lady. And she posted she couldn't get up the driveway. She would bottom out if she.
Also, guys, they were outside. They were outside when this happened, right by the camper. I know they have 11 acres, but that area right there is not the 11 acres. I don't know how many it is, but you would hear a vehicle and you would hear the dogs going bananas.
Even tried to get up it. So apparently this is a difficult driveway to get into. And then if you come up through here or through here, they would have had to completely back down or turn around using the grass or whatever. I'm sure that they've checked all that out, the police.
Right, definitely.
But my point is, even coming from this side, they would have to circle around to leave, or they'd have to back down. And with these dogs, they were barking during the interview at reporters that were already there. So, what sense does that make? Do you know what I'm saying?
None.
Exactly. No, I agree completely.
Yeah. And if someone was to walk up, okay, I don't think they'd be walking up from over here because they'd have to cut through the grass straight across, or they'd be in the middle of the back door. So we would say, okay, let's say a person came up this side. I believe this is where the bus is parked. If they came up this side, grandma and mom are over here planting flowers. And I believe there's quite a visual through here. If you're standing on ground level, you can see straight through this area.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's completely open there. I mean, if anyone were to even come up in any angle, they would have had to come through the trees, and then the distance between the trees and the open space is huge. Someone would have seen them.
I agree with you.
So, okay, so here's another thought. Let's say that whoever this abductor is parked at the end of the driveway. It's a super long driveway, as they said. And Candace has stated over and over again, it was like 2 minutes. Although with the interview with, what's that dude's name? Dotson. I always forget his first name. I don't know why. The flute guy. In his interview, he says that Candace told him 20 minutes. Excuse me. Now, that could be him remembering incorrectly, but he's certain. He says he's certain that she told him 20 minutes. Anyway, she said over and over 2 minutes. How is someone going to have time in 2 minutes to snatch Summer out of the basement, keep her quiet for one thing, and with the dogs. Okay. So you're telling me that someone's going to pick Summer up, snatch her up, and the dogs aren't going to chase them and go crazy or her? It's just not adding up. Where is this girl? Where is Summer? And I'm going to end this there. I know we don't have the answer. It was a rhetorical question. It's upsetting, to say the least. Guys, I don't know. I don't know what we're all going to do if she isn't found. I don't know what we're going to do when she is found. I mean, think of the Jacob Wetterling case. I was just looking that up recently, because that happened. I remember when he went missing, because I lived in that state where he was from, and for all those years to go by, and then he got the answer, of course, that no one ever wanted. Anyway, on that note, please keep praying for Summer. Please keep praying for those boys, those 3 boys. I'm so glad that they're someplace safe. And I pray that they're just keeping each other strong. And I pray that the truth will come out in the light. Thank you so much, y'all. And I hope to see you tomorrow night.